Welcome to the Monday Morning Mixtape, the podcast that was going to cover a large variety of music but just seems to be settling on metal and hard rock. On this week's show, well, surprise, surprise, we're going to be covering symphonic metal with a heavy emphasis on Epica and their debut album, The Phantom Agony. Or is it The Phantom Menace? I can't remember. Yeah. So stay tuned.
On this week's show, we're talking about symphonic metal and the history of it, as well as kind of a brief history of Epica. So symphonic metal, like, it's not a genre you would have been super familiar with before.
Not at all, to be honest.
Yeah, this week was kind of a learning experience for you as well, wasn't it?
Massively, yeah. I always thought I had quite a broad kind of range of music, and you know, I, after looking up a lot of stuff this week, kind of realised that is not the case.
Yeah, it's like from my point of view, anyway, symphonic metal would be one of my favourite genres. It's kind of a niche genre, but it's definitely one of my favourite. It's a nice fusion of kind of like your heavier parts of like death metal mixed with kind of thrash metal, gothic metal, and then there also has this symphonic element to it, as the name would make it leave you to believe, where you have violins and orchestra, kind of more stuff you'd see like in orchestras.
I quite like that, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the bands, not all of them now, mind you, but a lot of them also have a classically trained female singer to balance out kind of the heavier
to lighten it up a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly. That's exactly what it would be, and it's kind of, it had its rough start, you know. It kind of like, it's not a rough start, but like it started out kind of a small enough niche, which through like the internet and all that is definitely being able to build and kind of expand to the day now, where you have like bands like Nightwish, which probably be the most well known symphonic metal band, and you'd also have bands like, as we're going to be talking about in a while now, Epica. And you'd also have bands that wouldn't be exactly in the same cookie cutter of like kind of more classically trained and you'd have with Lacuna Coil or Rhapsody of Fire.
And these are bands that I genuinely had never heard of before.
You probably haven't even heard any of them yet.
Because it wasn't in my wheelhouse, I suppose, in a sense. It wasn't even within my scope. But now, probably, you know, a great thing about being around other people as well is being able to experience their taste in things. And this isn't something that I've really heard you listen to that much. I suppose it's something you probably would have listened to on your own, maybe more than anything else. But yeah, it's something that I've definitely enjoyed exploring.
Well, symphonic metal and power metal is something I'd normally throw on if I had headphones in and I was off doing something or exercising, something to really just kind of get you into it and just get you going. Whereas, like, normally when we're listening to stuff together, it's just something a little bit more light and
and is that what you listen to when you're cleaning? Yeah.
Among other things, but yeah, it'd definitely be heavy in the rotation there.
Cool.
But
keeps you going.
But as I was saying, like, symphonic metal, it's kind of this odd fusion of genres come together that to me just works really well, and it just balances everything together on like a razor edge, but comes out better for trying. And one of my favourite bands in it would be Epica, and I only came across them in 2017, I think.
Oh, that kind of recently.
Yeah, like, it was actually at another I was at a concert in the Academy up in Dublin for Sonata Arctica, and someone recommended them to me.
Very good.
So I was like, okay, and I started listening to them, and I was like, what's their latest album out? And the latest album they had then, and as of recording, it's still the latest album, is The Holographic Principle. And from song one on that, I was hooked. It's just a great album all around. It's perfectly put together. I consider it one of my favorite albums of all time.
Cool.
And it was just really good. I went off after that and I listened to more of like Requiem for Indifference, which is another of their albums, which would probably be another of my favorite of theirs. And that also has probably be top 3 favorite songs. Would
Very
be
good.
Storm to Sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be Storm to Sorrow off Requiem for Indifference, and then on the Quantum Enigma. Was it Quantum Enigma or Holographic Principle? It's the Holographic Principle. The Holographic Principle has the Edge Blade, Beyond the Matrix, and the Cosmic Algorithm, which would also be some of my favorite songs, standout songs from it. Anyway,
is that more kind of the symphonic type of music, or is there more kind of the growly type of music in that?
Yeah, I like. Later on in the show, we'll be talking about the classic album which will be more of Epica. It'll be the Phantom Agony, which we'll get into as we're going on. But as we were listening to it, I could see that you were enjoying parts of it, but the growly parts weren't doing it for you. Yeah, you can definitely kind of tone that down a little bit, and they definitely kind of clean up their sound, and it's much stronger.
That's good.
So I definitely think their later stuff is something you probably enjoy a lot more.
Definitely, the next time we go for a spin, we should throw that on for.
Yeah, we definitely will. No, it's just there's just really good standout stuff altogether.
It does seem kind of quite varied in its approach, I suppose. As we will go into more detail, of course, later on in regards to that. But that is something that I very much enjoyed. What kind of attracted you to them? Is it the sound? Is it the kind of the vocals? Is it the instrumental part? What for you is the standout part?
I think the standout part for me is just I really like the speed, kind of like that comes with like power metal. I've always liked kind of power metal for that regard.
The tempo kind of, yeah.
Power metal, hair metal kind of stuff like that. It's a lot quicker tempo, but also mixed with that is just the kind of the darker vocals or whatnot, or the dark kind of the heavier metal mixed with lighter vocals or more classical instruments like violins and cellos and double basses and whatnot. I think bringing that together just creates this kind of like duality, almost like a yin yang or something that just it mixes together well, and it just creates. It's like your sweet and sour, your salty and savory, or sweet and savory kind of mix that just brings it together in such a nice way that I just got hooked instantly when I started listening to these songs.
Yeah, for me, in parts of the songs, I definitely did feel that like I didn't know whether I was to relax or to be up dancing or to like going crazy. For you, is it the kind of album that you could just relax and listen to, or do you feel it is one where you would need to throw it on if you were like, you know, exercising or cleaning the house or doing something else like that?
They're like with Epica anyway. There probably is so if I wanted to relax, there might be a couple songs I would listen to,
but not the whole album.
But I wouldn't listen to a whole album because I feel I probably get too pumped up, and then I'd be like, I gotta do everything now.
Yeah,
it's more for when I want to get active, or if I'm trying to. If I was sitting down working, I might throw it on in the background, and that kind of
good to keep you active in that regard. It's not something that you'd fall asleep to. It's something that will kind of
build you back up.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely that'd definitely be what it is. And that's kind of like one of the reasons I like Epica so much. But we'll go into a bit of the history anyway. So Epica themselves were formed in 2002 off the back of the breakup with the breakup of. Oh, sorry, won the breakup. Mark Jensen just left after Forever due to creative differences. After Forever continued on up until I think it was 2009 or 2010 when they broke up fully, I believe, or they just stopped as a band. But they did have a couple of years after anyway. But yeah, he split, and he knew he still wanted to do music. and After Forever was a symphonic metal band as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of wanted to stay in the same wheelhouse, but he wanted to change a little bit. So he started looking to make a band. So he went off and he started looking for singers, drummers, pianists, or keyboard players, as you will. The lot works, and after mid 2002, kind of they got their first they got solid after a couple of false starts. With singers leaving and taking their drummers with them.
Well, yeah, that would do it for you, wouldn't it?
The original vocalist wasn't Simone Simons. It was like they were looking up. I can't remember her name now, but she was another singer in her own right. It was in a band, Trail for Tears, I believe.
Yeah,
and it was looking like she was going to be their vocalist, but then she went off and started her own band. I took the drummer that they were going to start that band with.
Which I suppose is a risk when you start a band in general, you know?
Yeah.
They are going to possibly kind of franchise out and, you know, split off. But they've been going there for what, nearly 20 years.
Yeah, well, since 2003 was when they really came into their own right, because they started as they came together as a full band in 2002 and recorded their first kind of demo tracks to start kind of shopping around. But it was interesting. It was in 2003 that they released their first album, The Phantom Agony, which it was a weird kind of time because like when they were shopping around at first, they were going under the name Sahara Dust,
which really doesn't sound like.
It's one of those
the best of names.
I'm always thinking it's like, does it just sound weird because I'm so used to hearing him as Epica? Like if I'd always heard him as Sahara Dust, would that sound normal?
Probably,
or is it just kind of that Uncanny Valley thing? I'm not sure, but to this day, every time I hear them going, that does sound weird. And
are they still active today?
Epica, yeah, they're actually in the works of releasing their 8th album. It got pushed back now due to the COVID outbreak. That's kind of caused everything to stop at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they were in the studio in I think from February they were getting started to lay the vocals.
Oh, so they were really at the kind of the core or the most important part, and then probably got shut down due to this pandemic that swept the world.
Probably now,
but hopefully we'll hear from them again soon.
Yeah, it should come out late this year or early next year. I'd say that would be my guess anyway. They have no concrete dates that I've seen yet, but that'll be their 8th album. As I said, they have 7 out so far, and they kind of tend to also branch into some odd EPs. The oddest one that I would think is kind of worth mentioning would be they did an Attack on Titan one. Now, I know you're not you probably like, what's Attack on Titan?
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
So Attack on Titan is an anime where in it the...
Hence how you know I wouldn't have a clue what it was.
Yeah, pretty much. But in this one, humanity's being driven back behind these giant walls because there's titans, which are they start at maybe 15 foot tall, and then could go up to 60 or 70 foot tall.
Wow.
Humanoid looking thing, but they just kill and eat humans.
Yeah.
So they went behind these big walls and saved kind of to protect themselves and whatnot. But after that, the one day this giant one breaks open the part of the wall and Titans come spilling in, and it goes from there. But it's a decent anime. It kind of, I really got into it, and so did a lot of people when it first came out, and then the fervor died down, and it kind of just didn't really go much. But that's beside the point. But you could definitely see it was an odd one to come out from this this band that is nowhere near Japan, kind of going, oh yeah, we just did a little mini EP album on Attack on Titan, and it's a really good album in its right.
Random,
quite random. And they've also done a couple other EPs where they've done swing music and whatnot. We were talking about that ourselves, and that does sound quite interesting. It's definitely something I'd like to check out. Any kind of interesting little facts about the band themselves, or is there anything kind of that sets them apart from other symphonic metal bands? Well, there's not that many now, to be honest. Symphonic metal bands is kind of a niche enough area. There's probably a couple of handfuls of bands that'll be well known, and there's probably twice that are kind of middling.
Do you think they kind of started the genre?
I wouldn't say they started it themselves, because there was ones before that. You would have had your Nightwish, you would have like After Forever, as I said, which would have been kind of where the original sound came from, whatnot. But it's ever since kind of like their second and third album, they started seeing a lot more success.
Developing their own sound, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. And it's coming to its own right now with their 7, and especially hopefully their 8 album will be